Okay, I've literally recorded this like 100 times. Moving abroad completely changed my life. So basically, this time last year, my life looked completely different. Let's get into it. If you're thinking of moving abroad, you are thinking of leaving, you feel stuck where you are, you want to start fresh, this is something that's been on your mind, or you're just curious, then this video is for you. My name is Jenna Kelly. I am an American who moved to Barcelona, Spain. My YouTube channel is At the World's Publicist, where I share all of my experiences. I kind of got to give a little bit of backstory because on paper, my life looked great. Like if you brought me home to your mom, she would have loved me, which is probably why I had to ruffle some feathers because it's me. It wasn't as it was perceived to be. So let's get started. I like to say that I lived 9 lives before Spain. I graduated college and became a television news reporter for 3 years. And then I quit that business because they treat you like shit and they pay you a lot worse. Then I became a server because I needed quick cash. I also had a quick little entrepreneurial journey, which was way too glamorized on TikTok. And then I became a lifestyle editor for an international company, which I loved. I was going to like celebrity Miami events. Like I was doing everything I've always wanted to do as a kid when I watched Devil Wears Prada. And then I got laid off a year later. I had a lot of bad relationships, a lot of bad bosses. I was never really getting paid what my worth was. And I was getting really tired and sick of like climbing the ladder and not feeling like I was enough. So I thought to myself, when was the last time that I was truly happy? All the baggage gone. It was when I studied abroad in Valencia, Spain in college. And to me, it had been way too long. So I booked a 35-day trip across Europe. Of course, as Murphy's Law would have it, when I booked this trip, I then get a job at Royal Caribbean, one of the biggest cruise lines like in the world. And they still hired me knowing that I had this month trip. So I spend 2 months starting to work at Royal Caribbean. Then I go for 35 days all across Europe, starting in Barcelona, going up and around down to Greece, which if you go back on my channel, I do have videos and reviews. I did it with EF Ultimate Break. When I tell you I had the time of my life on that trip, like I could have been traveling like that for 2, 3 months longer and wouldn't have even bat an eye. And then I get back to America and I was like, something's got to change. I was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, commuting to Miami. So my 8-hour days became 12-hour days with traffic. Also, I wanted a little bit more money. So I decided to get a freelance writing job. So now my days were even harder. I was working all day, working all night, my freelance job, taking care of my dog, making myself dinner, going to bed, doing it all over again. It was really exhausting. I saw two sides of the coin. I could do this 9 to 5 at Royal Caribbean, a really stable job. Like I was finally financially stable. I owned a condo. Like I was, like I said, good on paper. There was really nothing wrong with the way that I was living. I lived close to my family. I could have worked myself up the ladder and had that job till I retired. And then I knew what the rest of my life would look like. But then I figured, what if I 180'd that and quit, kept my freelance job, and moved abroad. And then actually like really lived life the way that I wanted to live on my own terms because I feel like all we do is say save all your money until you retire, but then you can't do the things that you want to do now when you retire and then you enjoy it at retirement. Like I was functionally depressed, to be completely honest. Like I just knew there was so much more to life and I couldn't keep living my life in this like robotic wake up, go to work, go home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go home, go to sleep. I've failed many times and I've always got back on my feet. If I did this and I failed, I know I'll be able to get back on my feet. I have no kids, no husband, no boyfriend, no fiance, no nothing, like no ties to stay in the US other than my dog. But my parents love my dog dearly and they said that they would watch him until I had enough money to move him over here with me. So it was starting to get a little bit more clear cut. Why Barcelona? Well, I knew a little bit of the Spanish language already, so I knew that I could survive and be comfortable with that. And then I knew I was going to take classes. I already lived in Valencia, so I was familiar with Spain. And I kept getting ads on my TikTok teaching English as a foreign language. And it was TEFL Iberia, which is in Barcelona. And I had just visited Barcelona from Europe, like my Europe trip, and I fell in love with it. So why not try this organization and go to Barcelona? So I signed up for TEFL. I got in. Now it's time to do the visa process. And the visa process went like this. Honestly, it's kind of long, I'm not going to lie. And it was really, really difficult, especially to do by myself. But I will say, that as soon as it was in motion, it felt like I was on a roller coaster that like didn't stop. And I feel like the best things, like if they're meant to happen, they happen that way. I started the process in November, January of last year. I got approved for my visa. Then I quit my job and then I left 2 months after that. I basically got tenants for my condo. I packed a lot of my stuff. I sold more of my stuff. I donated a lot of things. It freaked me out a lot because it was one of those moves where it was like you're grieving an old part of you at the same time of being so excited for this new part of you that there were many times where I was like, am I like emotionally stable enough to do this? Like, is this okay for me to go do? And I just had this voice inside me that was like, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. Like, I would have hated to be on my deathbed and been the person that's like, I wish I would have done that. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I also have a video on my entire visa experience on my channel because it was just so in depth and there was so much involved with it. Imagine moving with one big suitcase, one carry on, a backpack, knowing absolutely no one, finding your own accommodation in a different country with a different language and a different culture. And yeah, it's the hard truth of it all is it's a real challenge. But the best thing about it is it's made me extremely confident in myself. I've grown into somebody who I wouldn't have recognized a year ago. Of course, there's a lot of hardships that come with all of this, but it's been the most transformative year. I have done so many things. I have gotten so many creative opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise have gotten back in the States. I just feel so much more myself, so much more beautiful, so much more accepted. This channel is going to be about my experience abroad as an American who moved to Barcelona, what the last year has been like, what my new visa process is going to look like, things to do, things not to do, places to see, day trips, my solo travel, and even the emotional side of moving abroad and what that's like, the good and the bad, the relationships, dating, friendships, and how I navigated all of it. So if that interests you, make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment on certain things that you want to see. I would love to touch upon what you would want to know because I am documenting all of it honestly.